Hey everyone, it's Marcy Denning here from Stampin' with Marcy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada, and I want to thank you for pressing play on today's video. Today I am so happy to be sharing a card with you that uses the beautiful Nature's Harvest bundle. That's the Nature's Harvest stamp set and the Harvest dies. And I'm also pulling in the Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder. I also used my scalloped contour dies and some of the brushed metallic adhesive back dots. So let me show you what we are going to be creating. Here is my card. And I don't know if my camera is going to pick it up, but I have used my blending brush on the embossing folder to take that white embossed layer and give it that bit of aged look. I also used my paper snips to kind of curl that corner a bit there. And then my Designer Series paper is the Harvest Meadow Designer Series paper that coordinates with it. So let's get started. We are going to stamp our flower, our cluster, I should say, of cone flowers. I'm using gray granite because sometimes I find that the black ink is just too much and overpowering, and I want it to be a little bit more subtle. So I have pulled my gray granite classic ink pad. There we go, and it will totally tone down as it dries. I'm going to close that up because I don't want to put my fingers in there. And we have, here we go, here's all my pieces. So can you see back here? I have used this kind of splatter stamp and my Pale Papaya ink pad. So what I'm going to do is move that out of the way just for a moment. Oh, there is a splotch of something on that one. I have die cut a second one here. All right, so let's get started with this. So I have inked it up, stamped off, and then stamped onto my die cut piece. Then breathing on it, flipping it the other direction, and whoops, it's very, very faint, but I like that. That's the look I'm going for. Ink it up, stamp it off, flip that stamp, and flip it again. And there, it's very, very subtle here in the two center areas, and that's exactly what I wanted. So we are going to now close this up, set that aside, and set that aside. And we are going to come in and color our flowers. So I am using dark crumb cake, light and dark old olive, light and dark pale papaya, and dark calypso coral. So I am going to start, let me move my card right over here so you can see. All right, so I'm going to start with my dark old olive, and I am just going to come in some of the areas and add some of that dark veining that the artists at Stampin' Up! Have given us. And I'm using a very light touch And we're not blending too awful much with the leaves because they are fairly fine. Okay, coming in with the light and going over. This stamp set is so beautiful. And if you leave the sentiments off, like I have done for my card today, you can then use it for any occasion that you might be needing a card for. So it could go for a birthday, it could go for a sympathy, graduation, whatever, just even a hello. I find that if you leave the sentiment off, then when you are like, oh no, I need a card right away, all you have to do is pull out that card that has no sentiment on it, and you can either add your own sentiment at the time, or you can just fill in your inside with the message to the person that you are giving that card to. I quite frequently do leave my sentiments off so that it gives me more options, because you just never know when you might get caught without a ready-made card for a certain occasion. So if you've already got one that has no sentiment, you're good to go. All right, so there we have our leaves are all done. So now I'm going to take my dark crumb cake and cone flowers. Their centers are dark, quite dark, quite frequently. I've seen some that aren't quite as dark as others. So I'm just like dotting this on for those two, and then I'm going to come in with my dark pale papaya and go over that and kind of marry those two colors together. And then you can go back in and add more of the brown if you decide that you want that maybe a smidge darker. So I think I'm going to, kind of looks like a daisy center like that, but I think I'm going to just come in and add just a few more dots. And then come back in with my dark, kind of blend those together. And there is the center of my flower. Now, like that, it looks like a daisy. But we're going to come in, and I've got my dark Calypso Coral, and this is so dark and intense. Just looking to make sure that I did grab the right marker there, because you just never know. And I'm just feather light adding around, so a little bit around there, and then just a few little fine lines coming out. And then we're going to come in with our dark pale papaya, and we're going to go over that and pull that dark Calypso Coral out a bit. And the two colors are blending beautifully together. And I'm going to go ahead and do this one as well. I actually used this set for a baptism card. I left the sentiment off. My son and his wife needed a baptism card, and I didn't have anything on hand, so I pulled this out and embossed it in white, on white cardstock, and it turned out beautifully. Floral images can go for so many different occasions. You're only limited by your imagination as to what you can use it for. And this happens to be my class in the mail for the month of September, this bundle. Not this card is not included in it, but I just thought I would show you one more card using this gorgeous set. Okay, I'm going to come back in with my dark papaya and just go over some of those areas. And then this one here, this tiny little bloom that's just beginning to pop. We're not going to go too awful heavy with that one. We're going to keep that one lighter. So I'm not applying any of the Calypso Coral to that at all. Come back in. The more layers you add of the color, the more you're building it up. Okay, and now I need to come in with my color lifter and just clean up right in there. Okay, so now we're ready to die cut this out using the coordinating die. So I'm just off camera here with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I am just lining it up, and one moment please while I run it through. There we go. And there is our die cut flower. So next we are going to take our embossing folder. So this is the front here where the Stampin' Up logo is. So I am going to bring in my crumb cake. Move all of these out of my way. And load up my blending brush. Okay, and now I am just going to gently rub it in here and there. And you just have to be careful as to where you're placing your piece of cardstock. Now, all of the measurements as well as the product links can be found on my blog. The link is in the description below. All right, so now that I've got the white cardstock in there, you can see that hint of color here and there. So I'm going to take and run this through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. All right. There we go. Open that up. And there is our light hint of the crumb cake. If I hold up my piece of white, you can see that. Now you can come back in if you want a little bit more color. Now make sure you remember to rinse that off in the sink so that you don't accidentally make another piece of cardstock the crumb cake. So you can come in and just add, if you want a bit more darker areas, just come in with your blending brush, because there's plenty of ink already still on there. And you can just add a little bit more that way. Okay, so we are going to take our scissors and we're going to just rough that corner. Just ever so slightly, so that you can then kind of curl it a bit. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with our crumb cake layer. And we're going to bring it up a little higher. And now this can be kind of rolled up as well, so that when you've got these two together, you've got that really time-worn type of look to it. Let's clear all of that off. Bring in my silicone craft sheet. And a little bit of liquid glue. All right, lining it up, and there we go. That is good. Bring in my card base, fold and burnish. And then adhere these layers. Just like that. Now my piece of designer series paper, the back side is the Calypso Coral. So I've got it, this is 7/8 of an inch. So I'm going to, I think 3 3/4, I'm not sure. It'll be in the description, it'll be in the blog post, sorry. So I'm just gonna take this, gonna come in a bit, and on an angle, just kind of tear that. And every time you do that, it's a little different. Okay, so I think that's going to be good, just like that. So I am going to add my glue. Grab this again to make sure that we are not too low, not too high. And then that'll go like that. So we are going to now add our glue to this piece. And about there. Lift that up to make sure I am not wonky. Give that just, there we go. Now my flower is popped up here off of my card front, if you can see that. So I've got my mini Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm just popping them on here and there so that nothing is saggy. If you follow me, you know that I don't like saggy middles or anything like that on my projects. So I tend to go a little heavy on the dimensionals. There we go, that should be good. Peel all the backings off. I wish there was a way to do this a little faster, but it's stuck there. So I hope that this card has inspired you to purchase this gorgeous bundle. I just love this suite of products. All right, so we are going to center that just like that. And you can see how that subtle color underneath really makes it pop. All right, so our next thing is to take some linen thread. And when your linen thread is coming off of the spool, it's a little curly, so just take your fingers and run it through. And we are going to make ourselves a decent size bow so that it shows nicely on our card front. Hold your centers. And then what I like to do is I like to put, depending on the size of the bow as to the finger I use, but I like to put my loops through a finger so that I can tell whether or not they are equal. I don't want lopsided loops. Okay, I think that's going to be nice size, so I'm going to take and snip those tails, get that out of the way. Grab my take your pick and a mini glue dot. And then stick that to the back here. And then I'm going to kind of tuck it right up under this corner of the leaf, just like that. And then pull my tails down together because they're still just a smidge too long. So snip, and there they are, lovely. And then our final element is to take a few of these beautiful brushed metallic adhesive back dots and add them. And this is a perk for if you're signing up for my class. If you purchase the bundle, then I am gifting you with a package of these dots as a thank you. Also, because Celebration is going on right now, if you purchase the bundle, you're going to get a Celebration item. And how awesome is that? And there we have my lovely 2 cards using the Nature's Harvest bundle. Okay, that is all for me today. Please, if you're shopping my online store, please use this month's host code. We're almost done with August. I can't believe it. If your order is under $200, if it's over $200, don't use the host code. You're going to get your own host rewards from Stampin' Up. And if you haven't yet, please click that subscribe button below, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss any future videos from me. Please leave me a comment. I love to hear from you, and I will respond to all comments. All right, that's it for me. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye, and stay crafty.